Welcome to Parev TV. Our guest today is the master pianist, Sahan Arzruni. Sahan Arzruni recently released a very new album, a very ambitious work of Armenian women composers. Sahan, congratulations, and let me get to the point. My first question to you is, what prompted you? What was the triggered you to record these piano music of Armenian women composers?
Well, I've been the process of doing an outlook of Armenian piano music, a history of Armenian piano music. And as I envision the project, it will consist of 8 CDs. And each one is sponsored by someone. And this is the 4th one I was going to do. And I thought I would ask Parekor Zagan, the AGBU, if they would sponsor this project. And I spoke at the time. This was in a couple of years ago, before the pandemic, actually. I asked her if they would sponsor one of the recordings in this project. And she said, yes, but could you do a recording that features Armenian women composers' piano works? I was going to do that, but that was not the time in my series. But when they said that, why not? I'm going to do that anyway. So I decided to do it. Although I wasn't quite prepared at the time, I hadn't done research. And then the pandemic came, of course. When the pandemic came, everything stopped, all the studios closed, and had some hand problems and this and that. And it was not until 2023, when I put the whole program together and got the studio and recorded. And finally, it was edited, and 3 or 4 months ago, it came out. This time, not so much in the CD format. It does exist in CD format, but nobody is buying CDs anymore. Everything is online, digitized, streaming. So yes, we do have CDs, but primarily it's on YouTube or Spotify, this or that. Now, I had worked with women composers throughout my life. I mean, my aunt, who was a pianist and a composer, was the person who started me to teach piano and all that. And at the same time, there was another rather famous Armenian composer in Istanbul, Kohari Khazarosyan. I was very familiar with her work, with her personally. And when I came here, I became friends with 2 American woman composers. One was Louise Talma, and the other one, Miriam Gideon. We became very friendly, and they both wrote compositions for me, which I have recorded. Therefore, the idea of women composers was an idea familiar to me. It was not, I just had to find out who had written music, Armenian composer had written the music. And actually, I did ask some friends. For example, there's an Charles Amirkhania in San Francisco a very well-known composer and a scholar, and he had me, and we actually found, believe it or not, 38 Armenian composers.
38.
38. Yarasunu Ute.
Yeresu.
That is quite extraordinary. Well, we are what, 6-7 million people. That many composers, it's quite something. And not only there are composers, women composers in Armenia, but there are a lot of women composers in the diaspora today. Oh, and so I had to go through some of the material and decide how to put an album together that would be diversified and complementary, so that the listener would get more or less a good idea what those composers had done.
Sean, when I think of composers, Armenian composers, most of them are men, the ones I think of, whether it's Khachaturian, Gombidas, Alan Hovanes, and all these, they're men. Very few women are being mentioned. Is there a difference between women Armenian composers and men? What do you have studied them? What is the main difference between them, if there is one?
Vartan, music is music.
Music is music.
Who has written, a woman or a man? It is either good music or bad music. That's the difference. I mean, if you play for me a piece, which I don't know who the composer is, I wouldn't have the foggiest idea whether the composer is a man or a woman. I will know whether it's a good composition or a bad composition. That's the difference as far as I'm concerned. But you see, especially in the Armenian culture, Vartan, we have honored women as much as we have honored men. Imagine that the first woman composer in the world, not among the Armenians, in the world, there are actually two Armenians. They have lived in early 8th century, Khosrovi Tucht and Sahak Tucht. And the same thing, it's not just composers. If you take the painting, for example, Arzu Khanım, in the 12th century, I believe she is, I'm not an expert in the field, but I think that she's the first woman who has painted murals. You know, those murals are in Tadivang, which are in now today Azerbaijan, unfortunately. In you know, when we had Karabakh, the Hovnanians, Kevork Hovnanian and his wife, they had discovered those murals, frescoes. They're actually frescoes. The Azeris had painted over them. And Italian artisans were able to take the paint off the frescoes and bring them up. I have no idea what they will do now, or the handiwork that is on the curtain of the Hachbat church in Armenia proper is also done by Arzu Khanım. So there are many figures in the Armenian culture that is actually, I mean, what do we have? We don't have oil, we don't have gold. What we have is our culture. That's what we need to introduce to the world to make it worthwhile.
John, we have you Nobody else has you. Armenians have you. What are your future plans?
No. First of all, this recording is made now.
Uh-huh.
I have a publicist who is sending into all kinds of radio stations,
Okay.
reviewers, and this and that. And then AGBU, after their October international
Assembly.
after that, they are going to organize in their various chapters all
Beautiful.
over the world a concert of that recording, during which I speak and I play, and that should take at least a year, because they are planning on doing something major. At the same time, I just heard from the Archbishop Derderian that they would like me to do some concerts in 25 next spring of this program. So there is that, and the AGBU, and there are interests in other places also. So I will primarily devote my time to disseminating this material,
Beautiful.
and also get ready for my next recording in this project.
God bless
Outside
you.
outside of that, you know, a little while ago, I was telling you that all we have one very important thing, except for cave. We have cave. No, when we are talking about our culture, Vartan, is the most important thing. And when I was in Armenia recently, I found out that the radio station, the state radio station, has 130,000 recordings.
Wow. Whoa.
130,000 recordings. And most of them are LPs. And then nobody can listen to LPs. So we spoke, and they are digitizing.
Yes.
They're transferring to digital format, but that's not good enough. What we need to do, and what I want to do, is to remaster those digitized CDs, so that we can put it on YouTube, let's say, or Apple Classical, or whatever it is, so that people will listen to Armenian music and they will become familiar. Well, I'm 81 years old, so I don't know how long I'm going to last. I can do this kind of stuff, but someone has to continue
Absolutely.
this work, so that we can save at least ourselves with our culture.
We
So
know we really all know what needs to be done. It's a matter of the leadership prioritizing what needs to be done and realize set objectives. Is there anything else in closing?
no, I wish you the best, and I wish everybody the best.
Oh,
Thank you for inviting me, and I
please.
appreciate